Okay, so now we're going to get in some harder ones. And so I'm going to look at this red one over here. I'm going to call it a level 2 because it's definitely harder, right? So before, in the last video, we were solving ones like this one in black, right? That was really easy. But this level 2, whoa, that's very different. What's going on? I have all these other terms. That looks much harder than level 1. But the fact is, let's see if there's something going on here, because you may or may not recognize, but this and this are actually the same. And how do we know that? Well, maybe we don't. Maybe you don't see it right off the bat. Some of you might, some of you don't. But let's kind of go back to how we started with factoring. One of the things that we did with factoring is we did this. We made a box. Right? That's how we started. And in the box, we put this first term here. We put this term in the box. And we said, okay, that first term is x squared. And what makes up that first term? Well, it had to be x and x. And then we took this middle term right here. And now this is a square. Remember, we're saying this is a perfect square. So if something's a perfect square, it has to be symmetric, right? In other words, what I put in this box, if it's symmetric, they have to be the same. So in other words, I need to take 10x and I need to divide it in 2 equal pieces. Well, how do you divide something into 2 equal pieces? Well, you divide it by 2. So in other words, I'm going to make that become 5x and 5x. So let's figure out what goes here and here. Well, what did I have to multiply? Remember, this is a multiplication table. What did I have to multiply x by to get 5x? Well, I had to multiply it by 5. So by 5. So the last thing we really need to do is we need to figure out what goes in our last box. So what does go in our last box? Well, remember, this is a multiplication table. So I'm going to take 5 and multiply it by 5. I'm going to get 25. And guess what? That's this. So in other words, let's put some positive signs in here to really indicate that. In other words, right, we can kind of check and make sure we got everything, but this takes care of the x squared. 5x plus 5x takes care of the 10x, and the 25 takes care of the 25. So guess what we have? That means this and this are exactly the same thing. So in other words, that red one, that level 2 problem, was actually just a level 1 problem in disguise. We just had to find it. So let's see if we can do that process again. So let's take another hard problem and see what we can do with it. So how about, let's take I'm going to go to a brush here. Let's take x squared plus 4x plus 4 and set that equal to 49. How about 49? Okay. Well, is that left-hand side a perfect square? Well, I don't know. Let's go find out. So let's go make our box. And of course, in the first square of the box, we get x squared. And what made that? Well, x and x. Now we're going to take our middle term, right? And remember, this box is symmetric, so we got to split into 2 equal pieces. What are those 2 equal pieces? Those are 2x and 2x. So what did we multiply x by to get 2x? Well, we had to multiply it by 2. So, and of course, those were positive 2's, right? Because we had a positive 4x. And so finally, to fill out that last box, we get 2 times 2 is 4. So, oh, guess what? This thing right here, well, actually, let's double check. Let's make sure. Let's just double check. So, x squared is taken care of. There it is. The 4x is taken care of because 2x plus 2x is 4x. And the 4 is taken care of. So absolutely, this is a nice perfect square. So in other words, we can write this as, right? We can write this as x plus 2 squared equals 49. And we know how to solve that because something squared equals 49. So that means that thing is either 7 or negative 7. So x plus 2 equals 7 or negative 7. Subtracting 2 from everything, I get x equals 5 or negative 9. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try one. I'm trying to go to another page. How about let's do a hard one. Let's do a really difficult one in purple. That's how hard it is. So let's do this one. Okay. Okay. That looks pretty hard. See what you can do. Okay, hopefully you're back, and we're going to see. Now remember, our whole goal is this problem right here a level 1 problem in disguise? Well, let's go and check. Let's make our box. Let's see if it is. So, well, putting that x squared in here. How did we get that x squared? Well, we multiplied x to get it. We're going to take that negative 10x and we're going to divide it into two pieces, two equal pieces. That would be negative 5x and negative 5x. So what did we have to multiply x by to get negative 5x? Well, we had to multiply it by negative 5. So what has to go in the last square? Well, 5 times 5, negative 5 times negative 5 has to go in the last square, which is 25. And let's go and check. Did we get all the pieces covered? Well, x squared and x squared are covered. Negative 5x plus negative 5x is negative 10x. That's covered. 25 is covered. So guess what? That is a perfect square. So x minus 5 times x minus 5 equals 165. So in other words, x minus 5 quantity squared equals 169. This is a level 1 problem. Level 1 problems are super easy. So we have something squared equals 169, which means that thing has to be equal to 13 or negative 13. So what has to be it? X minus 5 has to be equal to those numbers. Adding 5, we get, what do we get? We get x equals 18 or x equals negative 8. Easy peasy, easy peasy.